Toronto Raptors have signed one of the most intriguing prospects in the entire NBA draft class, as Markquis Nowell, standing at just 5'8", has had a remarkable journey to where he's gotten to today and has shown off some serious star potential on his quest to make the NBA. So we'll break down his entire story, what he brings to the table as a basketball player, if he'll be able to overcome his shortcomings, his short stature, entering the NBA, and what impact he can have on this Toronto Raptors team. So lots of stuff to break down. Let's start off with the Woj bomb that came out on draft night, because immediately following that 60th pick, news came out that the Toronto Raptors were scooping up their guy that fell out of the second round, fell out of the NBA draft, wasn't selected by a team, as Markquis Nowell is signing a two-way contract with this Toronto Raptors squad. And it's a pretty insane journey he took to get here. It starts off with his high school career, not getting a lot of minutes in his first high school season, transfers, starts proving himself as a player, transfers again, right, averaging 19 points per game in his second last season, and then in his senior year, dealt with some serious lower body injuries and only averaged 11 points per game. Then received little to no interest by top prominent colleges, and then committed to Little Rock, to play his basketball career. And then this is where things really start taking off for him, as at Little Rock, averaged 11 points per game, 4 assists. He returned, was first team All Sun Belt, and then played 15 games in his third college season, and then basically transferred. Committed to Kansas State, switched squads, and then started 21 games there in his fourth college season, and in his final year, bursted onto the scene completely, the national scene, as, goes to the Elite Eight. He was first team All Big 12, NCAA. He set a single game record for assists with 19 assists in a game, and then during the NBA draft a couple nights ago now, at this point, was selected or signed by the Toronto Raptors on a two-way contract. So he's taken a really wild journey here, and obviously shorter prospects, the guys that, are the underdogs out there on the basketball court, they are always exciting guys to root for, to cheer for, especially in the NCAA tournament. Gained a lot of traction, was a big name, as Kansas State was making a little push to the Elite Eight, but he's not someone to be taken lightly, despite being a shorter basketball player, as this man, you watch his highlights, you watch what he brings to the table as a hooper, and the only way to put it is he's just a straight gamer. You need threes, big moments, he'll take them, he'll knock them down. You get 2-3 guys on him in the paint, despite longer arms, more height, the lack of ability of a shorter player they usually have at C-no defense, he finds a way to make these gorgeous no-look passes, bounce passes, one-hand scoops to his teammates that are across the court, kickouts underneath the rim. Markquis Nowell is a highlight factory watching him play, and he gets the job done, right? He can shoot it, he can pass it effectively, he has a tight handle, he finishes in traffic with floaters, with left-hand finishes, right-hand finishes, everything you want really around the rim. He's extremely athletic, quick, for a guard that's his height, he can move around the court, and as a player, he's pretty solid on the defensive end as well, despite being short, right? And obviously there's limitations when you're 5'8", he's only 160 pounds, he weighs basically as much as me, and in my men's league basketball in Newfoundland, if I'm playing against guys, I'm still usually getting thrown around, at least weight-wise, if I end up underneath the rim. So don't ever expect Markquis Nowell to come in and be a rim protector, to be a guy that's getting you a bunch of rebounds, boxing out over the bigs in the NBA. But he is a pest in there, and you look at his stats, they kind of show as well, right? He can come out there, 2.6 steals per game. Gets, these guys, despite the fact that they're smaller guards, you probably post them up if you get them switched onto someone, you can match up hunt a little bit. That lower center of gravity, the quickness he has with his feet and with his hands, he's able to poke that ball loose. And watching him play, he's a very high IQ defender as well. I dove in a bunch of highlights on this dude to see if his defense, there's any positives, any real negatives, in terms of defense ability, because you can have remarkable players like Isaiah Thomas, averaging 30 points per game one season, MVP candidate, and obviously Isaiah Thomas pre-injury was, I'm talking Boston Celtics Isaiah Thomas, who's similar height as Markquis Nowell, legit NBA star. No doubts about it, no ifs, ands, or buts. Took teams to conference finals. Obviously, as your number one option is not going to be able to match up with the LeBron Jameses of the world, but he had some deep playoff series, and Yes, the defense, it's sort of a similar sort of place. You can match up on Hunt on Isaiah. I remember the years with DeMar DeRozan, Dwayne Casey would just be running picks to switch IT onto DeMar, and he'd be shooting over him left, right, and center. It seems like Markquis Nowell, he just doesn't quit whatsoever. The relentlessness on the defensive end, it's not something that I've seen from pretty well any of the smaller guys I've seen in my lifetime, right? Muggsy Bogues, obviously watched highlights of him play. Apparently he was a demon on defense as well, despite him being even shorter than Markquis, so I believe so. So, there's ways to make up for it, despite the fact that you're not even 6 foot is a small guard in today's NBA. Being 5'8", and some people are saying it's a generous 5'8", right? You got to be a pest out there, and he's getting those steals per night. Don't expect him to be a lockdown NBA defender, but definitely could be a guy that holds his own. But really, his impact is going to be felt in his shooting ability that can get hot. And that's what everyone has sort of said, that are Kansas State fans that I've read. He can get you buckets when they matter. Not the highest of just overall season percentages, right? You look at his three-point shooting percentage. They go all over the place, but he's usually hovering around the mid-30s area. 35% in his first season. 39% in his second season, 33% third, 31%, and then 36% in his senior year, right? His stats, his three-point shooting percentages, they're just solid, but apparently he's a timely guy, he's a gamer, right? He makes them when it matters, which is a nice thing to see. But the assist numbers and the facilitating, the leadership out there on the court, that's something the Toronto Raptors need. And Fred VanVleet, whether he comes back or not, last season, definitely at games, at moments, made a concerted effort, especially immediately after the trade deadline when Jakob Poeltl was brought in, made an effort to really facilitate and drop some dimes and unlock the Toronto Raptors offense for times. And then we dealt with some injuries. Some of our top guys went out of the lineup. Things started shaking up a little bit. Fred was requested by Nick Nurse to be more of a scorer at that point, or called his own number. We don't know the insider info in terms of what the strategy was, who it was coming from, but Fred VanVleet became and over the course of his NBA career is more of a bucket getter himself, looking for his own shot first rather than just being a pure facilitator. Not that he can't do it. He has had nights where he does it, but Markquis Nowell, that dude is an elite passer. And say what you want about the modern sort of trend of getting taller, longer guards that can see over defenses, and like a Scotty Barnes, right? Can make those passes, look over dudes, and make those no-looks. Markquis Nowell, that doesn't matter because he finds creative, crafty ways to throw these dimes cross-court and just throws passes. And this is my favorite part of basketball. Players that can throw elite passes. It's something I love doing when I play, right? And watching on the court, seeing someone that, if a cutter cuts, a lot of times people are cutting at any level of basketball. They're kind of doing it just to keep the spacing going, move the defense, right? Rarely do we see cutters, passers that can effectively hit cutters in that needle threading manner, right? When the defense is just that split second where you have to perfectly time it. His highlight factory for Markquis Nowell, he's hitting those dimes when there's inches of space for him to get that ball through. And despite the fact that, sure, help defenses can come over, block shots, and do all these types of things, when you can pass at the elite level, Markquis has shown, setting records at the NCAA tournament level, right, in the biggest stages for college basketball, right, that makes up for your lack of height, because rather than maybe the necessary, dunking on people or finishing over the top of guys, if they're fully committing to you to finish that basketball, because he has floaters, you're going to need to fully commit on a Markquis Nowell drive, he can just thread the needle and fire off a gorgeous dime to whoever the help defense is guarding. He's quick enough, fast enough, has a tight enough handle to really make a drive through, whether it's against his own man-to-man coverage or anything like that. So Markquis Nowell, right, defensively is definitely going to be the question marks. Will he be able to stay on the court? And it's the reason he fell in the draft. Basically, every sort of pre-draft article, every mock-up that I've read have said, this guy's a super all-around player at 6'2", a definite lottery pick in the NBA, even though he'd still be undersized for an NBA guard at that point. But at 5'8", the league executives just question his ability to be playable on the defensive end, as so many draft, scouts are when trying to pick up these guys. You have to be a remarkable player at the level of an Isaiah Thomas, right? At the level of Muggsy Bogues, some of the guys, that have been in the league over the years, Nate Robinson. You have to be in an elite level if you're going to be that short and make the league. And the potential's there for Markquis Nowell. And the Toronto Raptors, he's really excited to make this team. This is one of his tweets he threw out saying, dear God, thank you. They didn't believe in us, but you did. And the past 48 hours have been nothing short of amazing. I see and feel all of the love I've been getting. Thank you to everyone who played a part in my journey, whether it was small or big. Toronto, here we come. And I'm just excited. I'm rooting. He's my height, pretty well my weight. So obviously definitely way more athletic than me, 1,000%. But yeah, I'm just rooting for the small players that can come in, show what they got. And the Toronto Raptors have had success in the past with smaller guards. So hopefully Markquis Nowell can find his footing. Obviously, the Raptors now have, I wouldn't say a glut at the backup guard position, but they have a lot of potential guys that can come in and fill that role. Fred VanVleet leaves, it opens up a little bit more, but Malachi Flynn's on this roster, Jeff Dowden Jr., Delano Banton, Scotty could potentially be playing more point guard. So we'll see if that opportunity comes right away, but I'm rooting for the guy. Let me know if you guys think he'll be a potential star in this league. If he was a steal as an undrafted free agent, I think he's without a doubt a steal, because regardless of how it plays out, when you're in that undrafted free agency area, if you're in that two-way contract sort of situation, you're looking for star potential. And we've seen these shorter guys that are absolute hoopers. Despite their height, they have shown no inclination of being a bigger guys. Because D1's not just a bunch of 6'2 guys running around, your 6'2 centers or something like that. D1 is proper, physically developed athletes with top heights and all that sort of stuff. He's shown no ability to slow down, or no defense has shown the ability to slow him down despite his shorter stature there. Obviously, it'll be tougher to showcase all that in the NBA, but I don't know. I'm rooting for the guy. He's overcome all the odds before, and hopefully he will do it again for the Toronto Raptors. But you guys best make it this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.